heroes, welcome to another broadcast of the Lawrence Report. On tonight's broadcast, we're discussing episode 3 and 4 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Now, I know I've been slack on my Percy Jackson videos. One reason is I have been sick. I've had a bad cold. I don't know if you still can hear it, but I'm probably about 75% healed. Thank you, Lord. So I'm on my way back, but I will be more consistent in giving out my Percy Jackson videos, right? So in Percy Jackson episode 3, we're going to break this down. For me, I felt like this episode was about Annabeth in a way, because I got a chance to see her leadership skills and levels on this episode. And also Percy Jackson is caught in the middle. They really should call this episode Caught in the Middle, because it felt like this whole episode he was trying to figure out, who do I trust in this episode? And the reason why he's having these trust issues, because in the very beginning of this episode, we see that there's a prophecy given to him by the god Delphi, right? And in this prophecy, he's saying that somebody basically among you will end up betraying you, right? Like one of your friends is going to end up betraying you. So we all know his two closest friends are probably Annabeth and Grover, right? It's no brainer. So, you know, Percy is caught in the middle. He's thinking deep all this episode about what is truly going to happen to him with this prophecy that has been bestowed upon him, right? Because, you know, they're still trying to get down there to where Hades is at to try to save Percy's mom, right? And in this prophecy, the prophecy says this right here. You shall go west and face the God who has turned, and you shall find what was stolen and see it safely return. You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you friend and fail to save what matters the most in the end. Now with Percy, he's thinking, okay, why would these two people, why would they betray me? We've been through so much already. Well, basically we're saying, which one of these are really going to betray me, right? We've been through so much already. Who could it be? Could it be Grover or could it be Annabeth? So again, he's on this quest to, you know, try to get down there to where Hades is at and, you know, to save his mother. But while we're going on the quest, he's met with a bunch of challenges, as we already was about to find out, right? So, jeez. So basically Hades, you know, he ends up getting word that Percy is going to come down there looking for his mother, but he sends a monster to basically delay them even further on the quest to try to find Percy's mother, right? And this monster, you know, while Annabeth is in the store getting snacks for the friends, she realizes that, you know, there is a monster that is tracking them, right? And she has this little dialogue with the monster, like, why are you here? Who sent you here? What is your end goal? What's your plan? Why are you trying to do this right here? And the monster isn't here for small talk, basically. And she ends up attacking them, but Percy and the crew, they are basically ran off into this mysterious forest looking place, right? And in this mysterious forest looking place, they end up meeting a famous known Greek goddess that we all know if you're into Greek mythology. That would be the lady with the snakes in her head, the one and only Medusa. Now we know that Medusa, of course, if you look at her, you will be turned into stone, right? So Medusa, you know, offers to help out the children. And she says, you know, come inside my place. I prepare lunch for you. I see there's a monster outside trying to take you guys out, but I will offer you refuge. I will offer you a place to stay, basically. So there's a little debate if the team can really trust Medusa. But of course, Percy, you know, being the kind of hearted person that he is, and he's kind of open-minded, he says, you know what, I'm going to trust her because my mother told me that, you know, this woman could be trustworthy. So I've already know about her story, her history. I'm going to go inside and see what she's going to offer us, right? So the team decides to end up trusting Medusa. And I do love how in this episode, we do get a chance to see the history and the backstory of Medusa, to see, you know, how she become the way she became, like what's her origin, her background. And, you know, for Medusa, she's kind of sneaky, right? She even tells Percy, you know, I'll help save and rescue you if you end up giving me Grover and Annabeth. And of course, he declines. And eventually, the team ends up coming together. They end up killing Medusa. And at the same time, you know, this Medusa head is basically a sacrifice, right? And is letting Percy basically is telling the gods that, you know, he's not scared and that he is the man for this job right here. So while they end up killing Medusa and taking her head, they use the head to kill the monster that first lured them to Medusa's place, right? So Percy, you know, he holds up the head and the monster looks into Medusa's eyes basically, and the monster ends up dying because of course you know turn into stone if you look into Medusa's eyes, right? So that right there was good teamwork. And you know, there's still the situation about the prophecy that is still heavily weighing on Percy's mind. So basically at the end of this episode, the final moments, we see that, you know, Percy and the team, they finally mail Medusa's head to Olympus, which is basically the Empire State Building, which is located in New York, right? And the actor Lin-Manuel is playing Hermes, and he delivers the package to the gods. So he tells the gods, you know, in the end that, you know, hey, you guys are not going to believe the package what I have here, which, like I said earlier, it is Medusa's head. So then we transition now to episode 4, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So in episode 4, this probably was my favorite episode right here. It was a lot of action going on in episode 4, and I just really enjoyed this episode right here. In the early stages, we get a chance to see and listen to the backstory of Annabeth, her upbringing, her relationship with her mother, and things of that nature. And also we get a chance to see Grover. He is talking about the god Pan, you know, how things has transpired with the god Pan, and when it comes to the centaurs and things of that nature. Right, get a chance to see the team. You know, they're traveling basically to St. Louis, which is basically a arch for Athena, right? But at the same time, we get a chance to meet 2 brand new mythological beings, Echidna, I hope I pronounced her name right, and one of her children, which is a crazy big monster by the name of Chimera. And oh my god, Chimera was absolutely huge. The special effects, the 3D apartment, the visual effects, they did their thing on this character right here. This monster right here was absolutely scary at its finest in my eyes. So while Percy and, you know, the team, they're on this bus, you know, they're going to the next place, the next destination, there is something strange that happens to the bus, right? There is a being that arrives on the bus, and it's this form of this woman, this goddess by the name of Echnida. She ends up causing, which I thought this was going to be like a Karen type moment, right? You know, these police officers, they come to where Percy and the team is at, and they ask him to see some identification, their room number, and they end up taking them back to the room. And the room which Percy and them was staying in was absolutely destroyed. And Percy and them was like, you know, we didn't do this right here. And it turns out that it's actually this goddess named Echnida. She ended up doing it, right? Because she realizes that Poseidon's son is Percy, and she's basically on a quest to stop them. And while all this talking is going on, you know, Annabeth reaches for, I believe it was like a knife, whatever, right? Because she knows that something is not right with this situation right here. And this lady, you know, she says that her animal has been hungry. I guess it was like a little pet to her because he's right up in his bag. And, you know, eventually as this talking, it finally comes to a conclusion. The pet ends up coming out of the bag, and it is he has like this long tentacle. And with this tentacle, it ends up stabbing Percy, right? It ends up hitting him a little bit in the chest. And, he's shocked by it. The rest of the team is shocked by it as well. Now, and Schneider is known as the mother of the monsters, right? So, like I said, Percy ends up getting stabbed, and they think that that they will be able to, run to this temple of Athena, right? Because this temple of Athena, which is basically the St. Louis Arch, is supposed to be magic and it's supposed to be protected from monsters, and certain people cannot come inside this area, this temple, right? But things are about to change in a worse way for the team. So according to Matt Schneider, she basically reveals that Athena felt embarrassed by her daughter Annabeth and the rest of the team with Percy. She felt embarrassed that this head got sent to Olympus, right? So as some retribution, she removes her magic from the St. Louis temple in the area that they're in, right? And she allows this monster, Athena, and her I guess child, Chimera, she allows them to basically terrorize Percy and Grover and Annabeth again, because she felt like this was very disrespectful to mail the head of Medusa to Olympus, right? And from there, Percy and the team are left completely struggling, trying to figure out how to defeat this Greek monster here. And of course, for Percy, at the same time, for Percy, he's still hurt from this tentacle that, he's being stung by. And, they're splashing him inside this outdoor oasis of water. But it seems like the water is not even truly helping him, again, because he's still weak. And Percy is actually about to do the complete unthinkable. So, as I said, Percy is about to do the unthinkable. Originally, it was supposed to be Annabeth. She was going to be the person that was going to stay behind to fight Chimera and Schneider, but Percy ends up switching the thing completely around. He offers her his sword or whatever, but while he's doing that, he ends up switching and pulling Grover and Annabeth. He ends up locking them inside the area where he was supposed to be at originally. And again, he's injured, but he does his best to try to stop the god and the animal, right? The beast. But unfortunately, there's a hole through that is ripped in the middle. He ends up falling through the hole. But while he's falling through the hole, he ends up going down into the water. And he ends up getting, I guess you could say, a little help finally from Poseidon, right? In the end. And there's this figure that is talking to him, telling him to breathe, telling him that's going to be okay. And that is how the episode ends. So I think we will be seeing more of Poseidon finally, and just seeing just the whole background story of Percy and his father. So yeah, that is episode 3 and 4 of Percy Jackson. If you've been watching this episode, please let me know your favorite episode thus far. Like I said, for me, this was my favorite episode right here, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in episode 5. I think this is an 8-episode series, so things are definitely heating up on Percy Jackson. And as always, thank you for tuning in to The Lawrence Report.